Coming up.
So I grew up in Jonestown, inner city community, and I went to Jonestown Primary and then to Trenchtown Comprehensive High School. It's almost like it's a post-traumatic stress disorder, just growing up in that. And I've seen so many things. Some of the things, trust me, it's almost like a movie. Yeah, like you still have persons who will see me now and say, oh, the bright girl from Trenchtown. So, members of the community, they saw that as an inspiration.
Hi everyone, so we're heading into Global Entrepreneurship Week, and so this week on the Trailblazers, we're featuring a young woman in business, a young entrepreneur. She grew up in very challenging circumstances, but despite all of that, she has managed to soar. Her name is Kavelle Hylton, and she is the founder and CEO of STEM Builders Learning Hub, and trust me, she's blazing her trail. Stay tuned to hear her very inspirational story.
Store partners: the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Kingston's preferred choice. Stars Publicity for all your public relations and publicity needs. Get noticed and align with the stars. DG's Health and Wellness Center, operated by certified nutritionist and health columnist Donovan Grant. Contact them today for all your weight loss and other nutritional needs. And Care is Beauty for all your skincare goals and more. Get 5% off each purchase from them using the discount code TAMARA5OFF. Learn more details on all these partners as well as links to their website by visiting the description box on the Trailblazers with Tamara McHale YouTube channel.
What's your word to them?
I would say to fight. Fight for your dreams, fight for your purpose.
Life that inspires you, that motive that you aspire to be.
I'm meaningful and critical. It's not a waste time movement, damn it.
In my humble opinion, is become very comfortable with yourself.
Very important. The saying in Jamaica, one hand can't clap.
You forgive yourself for allowing people to mistreat you.
Disciplines that we need to embody.
You just have to work at it and be committed. Everyone.
And scary to have all of that fall away from you. And you have to celebrate those wins. Work with fitness clients.
For guidance, rely on Christ for support.
And no rush. I did it. I made my move into entrepreneurship at 40.
So chicken, so scared that when...
What, last comments would you want to share with
you? Have your core values, you do the right things, they'll fall in place for you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the Trailblazers, and you are just looking so fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. And I should let my viewers know, so I actually know Kavel from a previous program that I was a part of by the U.S. Embassy. And, Kavel is one of those persons that I was just so inspired by, to see another young woman, but she is just driven and focused, and since then she has been doing even greater accomplishments. So for our viewers, Kavel, they may not know your story. I myself was shocked when I heard, bits and pieces of your story. So I'm just interested to find out, the woman behind STEM Builders Learning Hub, because you are the founder and CEO of that. As a young woman doing amazing things as a young entrepreneur, but I understand that your circumstance and your start was not easy, and that you grew up in an inner city community. So tell me about that.
Right. So thanks again, Tamara, for having me. So I grew up in Jonestown, inner city community, and I went to Jonestown Primary and then to Trenchtown Comprehensive High School. So growing up was not easy, as you mentioned. For the first part of my life, we were pretty much in a nuclear family. But at age 7, my mom actually migrated. She went to, find a better life for us. And so our life, pretty much our family life and dynamics changed at that point. But there were other issues in the community itself that we had to just weather. And I can remember from probably as early as 5 years old, going through those issues in terms of the violence in the community when there would be flare-ups. It was difficult, but it's part of what shaped me and made me who I am today.
Yeah. But that's interesting though, because you mentioned your mom migrating at an early age. And that also is the reality for many of us growing up. I remember myself as a little girl in country, my mom migrating to, for a better life. But I'm sure the dynamics would have been totally different for me, in rural Jamaica, as opposed to you in an quote unquote inner city community. So, share with us what the underground experience was like, especially, living in an inner city community and a child.
Yeah, I mean, there were times when it was good when you could have fun with your friends on the street and play the usual games and things. But at many times it was difficult. I remember even before my mom migrated, there was one point when there was just violence in the area, and she just didn't know what to do. So she decided to just take us to her aunt's house at that time, and she literally had to beg her to ask if we could just sleep on the floor for that night. And she begged her and said, please, if you could just allow them to even sleep on the floor, and, just so that we would be out of danger. And I remember that night, our cousins, they were on their beds and they literally wanted to join us on the ground or on the floor because we were having so much fun there. But at the same time, we were just so stressed out because my mom, she left us there and she didn't stay. And so we were wondering if we were even going to see her the next morning. So the entire night we were just completely stressed out, waiting for day to light so that we could see whether or not our mom or parents were alive. So, things like that. I mean, even now as an adult, I still get like nightmares about being caught up on that street in some sort of violence. It's almost like you get a post-traumatic stress disorder, just growing up in that. And I've seen so many things. Some of the things, trust me, it's almost like a movie taking place. Like I remember once I had a football match to attend and, I decided to go and get my socks. And then in the middle of that, coming out of the taxi, I was witnessing a gunfight on the street. And I was like, wait, am I in a Western or movie or something? It was just crazy. And there were all these church people behind me. And, luckily, I actually was a cadet in high school. And so I had some sort of military training. And so I used to use that a lot, to kind of dodge the corners and, call them in and kind of thing. So I was just there and they were like all following me until it ended. And when it ended, it was just so surreal because there were these two men on the corner firing after each other and actually talking at the same time. And then when it ended, it was almost like nothing happened. They just ended it and went about their business. And, that was it. So I was like, wow. So we've been through so much, trust me. Wow. So much.
That is incredible. So, I mean, as a student then, what was even that like? Because Trenchtown, yes, it's known as, a wonderful place for music, but at the same time, it also has that stigma attached to it in terms of, the crime and the violence. And at that time, was it a problem then in that area?
Yes, as you know, there would be flare-ups in the community from time to time, but luckily we were sort of protected being on the inside. We had an excellent principal at the time, Mrs. Grace Henry, and she pretty much protected us in terms of being like that mother hen. So unless you were to like venture out or when you had to like go and take your taxi or your bus, then you probably would be scared or, you had to make sure that you had company when you're walking in groups. And so there are times when, things would flare, but it wasn't all bad though, but there are times, and some you actually had some members of the community that would look out for the students as well.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, so zooming in on you. So you mentioned, I didn't hear you mention your dad because you mentioned your mom left at an early age. So what
Yeah, well, like my mom left when I was 7 and she came back when I was 11 and then left again and came back when I was 15. So during that time, I pretty much was staying with my father or being raised by my elder sister. So it was kind of in between or to and from, being raised by siblings or going to my dad and so forth. So he was there throughout my school years. I actually left primary school at 10. So I did common entrance. You know, there were no GSAT or paper road at that time, so it was common entrance. I did common entrance at 10 years old and went to Jonestown Comprehensive High School. And, you know, that's pretty much where my academic journey started. I became head girl for Jonestown. And when I left, I was also on the honor roll because I was able to, you know, achieve 8 C-Sec subjects. And at that time, that seemed like a big deal because it was Jonestown.
Because I did GSAT, and I mean, even when I went to high school, like, that's a big deal. So, I mean, especially living in that community, wow, they must have put you like on a pedestal.
Yeah, like you still have persons who will see me now and say, oh, the bright girl from Trenchtown. So, you know, members of the community, they saw that as an inspiration, because when I left Trenchtown, I actually went to Wolmer's High School for sixth form. And even then, when persons at Wolmer's would say, you know, what school are you coming from? And you said Trenchtown, they would be like, wait, wow, you must be really good, because, you know, the expectations were not very high as it relates to the community or the school. And so when persons even see, when I go to university and I'm, you know, speaking to my lecturers, being top in my class as well, and, you know, persons know exactly where you're coming from, they'd be like, they would be shocked. They're like, why, you know, you're pretty much on the same level. You know, there is nothing there, but the people, their expectations are usually low. And so sometimes they're a bit shocked when they see what you're able to accomplish because of where you're from.
That is awesome. And that's just you proving them. It's not even about proving them wrong, because you're doing it for yourself. All right, but I mean, that's amazing. But I mean, at the same time, as a young woman, beautiful young woman at that, I remember.
Give me blush.
No, it's true. And I remember listening to, I think it was Minister Marion was sharing that when she was, as formerly Lady Saw, she was sharing on the Trailblazers and saying when she was growing up in her inner city community, that, you know, once you reach a certain age as a young girl in the ghetto, like, you have some men that will prey on you or stuff like that. Was that a situation you faced, especially being good looking and stuff like that, or were you spared?
Well, I wasn't in that particular situation, because as I said to you, I kept moving from between my family home with my siblings to my dad's house. So under my dad's protection, I didn't really face that, but I can recall an instance where my sister, who was just like 4 years older than I am, I remember once she was locked in her house and she couldn't come out. And I remember because a guy was outside waiting on her, and I remember visiting, it was about lunchtime at the time, and I recognized what was happening, and so I didn't even bother to go inside. I just stayed out there, and he was there trying to get her to come out because she knew it was either he was going to rape her or something. So it was a situation like that, but luckily it's, you know, we're always praying. I remember an instance where someone hid under my sister's bed. And and then she woke up in the middle of the night and someone grabbed her and then he ran out. So it's as if he fell asleep under the bed the entire night. I don't know, but God has always been our source of protection. And we were so paranoid after that. We checked the bed every single night. We're always so paranoid, wondering if someone was hiding. I don't know what his intentions were, but apparently he came in the house somehow and hid under the bed. And when she got up in the middle of the night, he grabbed her. And I just remember we were just so terrified after that. So terrified. So, and these are real stories. You know, this happened. So yeah.
It's crazy. All right, Kavel. So I mean, I'm very much impressed. And then looking at the fact that, you know, you are definitely a testimony to the fact that it doesn't matter where you're coming from then, or where you come from, because even from that early age, as you mentioned, even though you weren't at Jonestown and, you know, you were the head girl, you were a bright girl, you were the high achiever. So what was it then that, especially coming from a situation where it's like most times like a single parent then, because your mom was away and stuff like that, what was it? Was it like a natural thing? What was the behind you just wanting to excel at even that young stage?
I think at some point things changed. Like before, you know, I was getting into trouble somewhat, you know, not big trouble, but yeah. And I remember just like, I'm always a person that want to achieve. And my father, of course, he was always a person that, trust me, if you don't get the good grades, you're in trouble. You understand? So if you don't get the good grades, you're gonna be in trouble with him, and he's gonna be like, so, and I never wanted to disappoint him going to school. And so if we always had to be in the first bride class, because if you go into second bride, he's gonna just to talk. I didn't want to hear it because that disappointment talk, it would rip me apart. He didn't have to hit me or anything, and so I didn't want to experience that, and so that kind of pushed me as well. So when I was actually in high school, he used to come and collect my reports every year. And, he would be the first year at the school picking up the reports, and he would be like, you see, you're in first place, don't let them pass you. That kind of thing. So that was, that was motivation. I had to ensure that I got good grades, and I had to ensure that I did well, because he accepted nothing but the best.
I love that. All right, so, and I mean, it kind of put things into context when you realize, because one of the things I always, from my métier, I was like, I consider myself somebody who is very self-motivated, self-driven, and trust me, when I met you, I was like, no, this girl,
really?
I'm like, she's about her business and everything. So as I mentioned, Kavel is a young entrepreneur as well, and we're going to get to that right now, as a matter of fact. Tell us about STEM Builders Learning Hub. You have won multiple awards, gotten numerous grants and all of those things. You can mention some of those as well. But yeah, tell us about your business and what gave you that drive to start your own business.
Right. So growing up, I always loved science. I always dreamed and wondered what it would be like to become a scientist. And so when I actually started studying science in high school, I was just, ready to pursue a career in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. But, circumstances again, I went to Jonestown, I didn't have a chem teacher. When I was in grade 9, I came first in the class and I won a science dictionary. And I would study the periodic table. Even now, to this day, I would study all 20 elements. I would study the definitions of different science terms. Just in my spare time, I was pretty much a nerd, because I would use summers to study, and Christmas I would study again. So yeah, right, so I would pretty much do that. So I love sciences. So I actually became a science teacher. I taught biology for 7 years at the Convent of Mercy Academy, what we know as Alpha, right? So I taught bio. So while teaching there, we recognize that students are still experiencing the same things that I experienced when I was in high school, and that is a shortage of STEM teachers. Because I didn't have a chemistry teacher why I didn't do chemistry, and possibly why I probably didn't end up doing medicine, because I was only able to do biology, and then you'd have to go back. And I actually eventually taught myself chemistry and took the CSEC exam and passed. What? So, but yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was pretty much happy about that, So yeah, but that's things like that students still experience, that shortage of STEM teachers, that not having the opportunity available to them, especially because of where you're from or the school. If you're not from a traditional high school, then you don't have the same opportunities. You don't have a lab to actually conduct science experiments. And so it's out of that need that I said, I wanted to create a system where tutors were able to offer their services to students, regardless of which school the student attend, or regardless of geography, so regardless of where the tutor is located. And that's how the idea of STEM Builders came along. Eventually grew. I started working at the Scientific Research Council. I've been there for about 5 years now. And while there, I would do workshops with PEP students, CSEC students, and it was a hit. It was really good doing those workshops, getting that exposure. And I created a shoebox with items in it that students could actually carry out practical activities at home, because that's something that even primary school students are not exposed to. And so they're not very good at the sciences because they're just learning it from a textbook. They're not getting that practical exposure. And so I had a practical approach workshop for teachers, students, and even parents attended the workshop. And I thought, what if I could package this somehow and have them take it home? And that is how our STEM Builders activity box was born. And so I decided to merge everything, and that's how it became the hub, you know, a one-stop shop for everything science, technology, engineering, and math.
Well, that's amazing, Kavel, and just to see that the growth or the journey that you took to get there, because
Yeah.
like, you really like, first and foremost, teach yourself chemistry. That's one. But then me just realizing that this is something that you're really passionate about and just always love. And well, I definitely have realized, you know, how passionate you are about it, but just understanding the reason behind it. So I mean, there's just definitely something about when somebody is doing something that they just love doing.
Yeah.
Makes such a difference. And
Mhm.
not only do you love doing it, and not only are you a young entrepreneur, but you are doing things right. You know, tell us about some of the awards or some of the grants that you have, you know, gotten to date, and how has that really helped your business to grow?
Yeah, so as you mentioned earlier, we met through the R program, the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs program, and we were both successful, yes, in the pitch competition. So we won that grant, and you know, I pretty much was able to, maybe it is my upbringing to sort of milk the money. Yeah, I was able to stretch it, you know, to really stretch it to accomplish as much as I possibly could. With all the things that we learned through that program, I entered the JBDC and JSE pitch social enterprise competition. I also won that, and through that I was able to develop my boxes even more, create 10 prototype boxes. Since then we've won other awards, other competition. I'm also a YLAI fellow, which is the Young Leaders of America's Initiative, and that program starts next year. It's a cultural exchange program, yes. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm also a recipient of the Ignite, the DBJ, Development Bank of Jamaica Ignite grant, which will award STEM Builders $3 million to, you know, push our project and our product further. So yes, looking forward to that as well. We've done a whole lot of things since then. We are incorporated, we're a limited liability company now, and we just keep growing. Yes, we're growing from strength to strength. We have over 35 tutors listed on our website. We have our students. We had our first cohort of CSEC students last year, and you know, I was just, they just reminded me why I'm doing this. Because when the parents would text me when the results came out, and you're like, Miss, thank you so much. Miss, it worked. It really worked, you know. And I'm like, yes. Because my students will tell you too. You know, I used to teach 256 students per year. So I have a lot of them out there. And they will tell you the passion that I take in the classroom. I love what I do, as I said, it's passion and purpose. And when you're doing what you love, it becomes easy. I have a Bachelor's of Science degree and a Master's in Science Education. And I'm actually on my MPhil PhD journey in STEM education. Right. So, I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm here for it. I'm all in. I'm all in.
And trust me, this is what you call a superwoman. And then on top of it, she still is working otherwise, right? And
yes.
You also are a parent as well. So how do you balance all of that?
Yeah, people ask me that all the time. It's not easy, but I feel like just because when I was at university, I actually had my son, you know. So I had to juggle university, being in pure and applied science. That's what it was called at the time. And many persons didn't know that I actually had a young son at the time. And I would take him to school in the morning, so we would get dressed together, and then I would drop him off at daycare, and then I would go to UA. And then after I finished my classes, I would go to work part-time at UA because I had to try to find some sort of income to help with everything, you know. So I had to work part-time, and then after work, I would go and pick up my son. Then I would go home, then I would study. I'd have to make sure he ate everything, bathe everything, and then I would study. So I just think that being able to balance that throughout my university years. He actually went to school with me in a sense. Yeah, even when I was doing my master's, my lecturers knew him because sometimes I wasn't able to drop him off first. I would take him to school with me, you know, and he would sit there in the back of the class taking in everything. He's super bright and intelligent. He's my greatest achievement yet. And I am so proud of him. He's awesome.
But that is awesome, Kavel. I am like so flabbergasted. So I mean, you know, we are winding down, but one of the things with the Trailblazers, because we have one of the beauty of this program is that we can have trailblazers from all spheres of life, you know, whether it's in the music industry, whether it's in STEM, because I think probably you're the first person I've had in this area, as a matter of fact, on the program. Nice. So you see, you're the first of many things.
Trailblazer.
What is your vision though? Because it's something that you're obviously passionate about. It's an area that you know, you hear a lot about in terms of science and technology. And I mean, even with the pandemic and everything, you realize that a lot more emphasis on the technology aspect. So where do you see you taking this, not only with your business, but you as a STEM brand, so to speak?
I see us taking it all the way. Our aim is actually to give access to STEM education to all students, you know, everyone, regardless of your gender, regardless of where you're from. So it's just improving and increasing access. I see us, you know, not just being in Jamaica, I see us being regional as well, offering our services, offering our STEM activity boxes, and, you know, just reaching the breadth and depth of Jamaica, just going all over and just doing what we do best, which is to, you know, educate and empower others.
Definitely. Kavel, I mean, so for those who look on and they're like, you know, this little girl, remember that bright girl from Trenchtown, Trenchtown Comprehensive High, and you know, she kept going at it same way. What would you say to others who, you know, likewise, they may have come from circumstances that are challenging, are difficult, maybe they come from a difficult community, maybe their family situation is not necessarily the ideal, but you know, they still want to be like you and be, you know, making a name for themselves in their particular niche or their particular area. What would you say to them?
I would say to them, it comes from within. My motivation comes from within. It comes from wanting to, you know, not just be a promise or having potential. Someone once said that if you have potential, it means that you're not necessarily doing everything that you can do today. So it's important to not just have potential, but to act. And it's sometimes, you know, having those dreams, but not acting on them, that's all they will be. They will just be dreams, but making those tiny steps, putting in the work. You know, sometimes people will see you and see what you have accomplished, but they don't know the nights that you're up, the sacrifice that you have to make sometimes. You're not spending enough time with your family, or, you know, or going out and doing things that you may want to do in that moment. So I would say, you know, dream big and work towards those dreams, sometimes planting those tiny seeds, and eventually you reap your harvest.
Wow, eventually you will reap your harvest. Awesome. I mean, that's a fitting note for us to wrap things up on. And, you know, if persons want to learn more about your, you know, your business, or want to get in contact with you, where can they find you guys on social media and stuff like that?
Right. So you can visit our website at www.stembuildersjm.com. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at STEMbuildersJM. And, you know, feel free to reach out to us. We're on Google Business as well. And, you know, all the social media platforms. We're on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn. You can feel free to reach out to me. I'm all about giving back as well. I started the STEM Ambassador program at the Scientific Research Council, and that's all about giving back. and many other events that I coordinate, just about reaching out to Jamaican students and making a difference and transforming the STEM education landscape in Jamaica. So if you're about that, if you have the same passion or drive, and if you want to make a difference, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or on any social media platform, Kavelle Hylton.
Thank you so much, Kavel. Keep blazing your trail. I mean, you have so much more in store. Our first STEM, personnel on this program, and of course,
STEMpreneur.
Yeah, STEMpreneur. I love that word. Kavelle Hylton, of course, is the founder and CEO of STEM Builders Learning Hub, and that's about science and technology. And what's the E for again? Engineering and math. And she's just, despite her circumstances growing up in an inner city community and facing all of those challenges, she has continued to just flourish and to soar, and we expect even bigger, better things from her for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Tamara McHale, television and radio presenter, producer, communication specialist, and of course, producer and host of the Trailblazers series. I'm inviting you, yes, you, to join the family. All you have to do is just click the subscribe button right below, yes. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're alerted as to when we have new episodes. And then, of course, join the family for weekly inspiring and uplifting episodes that they will not only just lift your spirits, but they will give you the tools, the keys, and the strategies that you need so that you can blaze your trail.